Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another rendition of the All We Do Is Talk podcast. It is week 3 has come and gone, but we still got to recap it. Here with Moody and Isaiah. How we doing today, boys?
Hey, Eric. Victory Tuesday. How does it feel?
It's amazing.
Good?
First
Good?
one. Yeah. Let's get a round of applause for the winners in the
Round of applause for
pod.
Victory Tuesday. Isaiah, you all right over there?
Let's hurry up and get through this. Let's get through this. Most disappointing weekend of football of the season.
All right, let's get it started with Thursday night where the Browns hosted the Steelers. Browns get it done 29-17.
Yeah, I mean, simply Steelers are still playing with Mitchell Trubisky as their starter and no TJ Watt to make their defense the elite unit. It can be. Jacoby Brissett keeps it going for Cleveland, and they're going to keep wondering how in the hell they blew that Jets game, because they could be undefeated without that loss, and their season that'd be best case scenario for them. But unfortunately for them, they had the Myles Garrett stuff that they're going to have to deal with to go along with the Deshaun Watson stuff. But big win for Cleveland on the back of Nick Chubb putting in lots of work against a beat-up Pittsburgh defense.
Yeah, I think that was the real story there. Cleveland's offense just overwhelmed the Steelers' beat-up defense with their skill position talent. It hurt my heart to see Amari Cooper out there putting on a show against the suspect Steelers secondary. Nick Chubb was really good. Kareem Hunt contributed, and then a monster breakout from David Njoku, who finally got involved into the offense after spending most of the first couple weeks just blocking. He was huge for them, and that was the real difference in the game. Cleveland just has better offensive system, better offensive talent overall than the Steelers do, and it allowed them to stay ahead of the Steelers. Mr. Trubisky, he just limits their ceiling. They got to get Kenny Pickett in there at some point. Shout out to George Pickens for an all-time great catch. It was fantastic, but other than that, their offense is Deontay Johnson or bust. Najee Harris can't get past the line of scrimmage. So Cleveland just looked like a better football team overall. Pittsburgh, until TJ Watt is back, they're not really relevant.
Yeah, I think Isaiah put it well with how Cleveland, granted, dropping to the Jets, but 2-1 is, I mean, if you told them at the beginning of the year 2-1, you were going to be that after week 3 with no Deshaun Watson, they would take that absolutely. I think it's time to go to Kenny Pickett. Mitchell Trubisky is clearly not that guy. I'm surprised they let him throw the ball 32 times, to be honest. But it's frustrating to watch that offense, and George Pickens lets it know visually when he's wide open and doesn't get thrown the ball. Browns, keep doing your thing. I mean, if you can ride Nick Chubb for as long as you can and pray he don't get hurt, which he will, but pray he don't get hurt, you'll be set. Just have that two-headed monster, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. All right, let's keep it moving on to Sunday's action. Bears hosted the Texans and edged out the Texans 23-20.
This was every bit the toilet bowl it was made out to be. Just really, really bad football on both sides. Justin Fields can't complete a pass. They don't even trust him to even attempt it. So it's a lot of just him scrambling around trying to make something happen and running the ball. David Montgomery went down. Khalil Herbert stepped up, and he was outstanding. 157 yards on the ground, couple of touchdowns. He dominated the football game. He was the clear difference. He was the best player on the field in that game, and he did his job, and he led Chicago to the victory. For Houston, we're seeing why the upgrade at quarterback talent has to be next on the to-do list. Davis Mills just played a horrible football game. It's hard to play football against in a sloppy Chicago area. Chicago's defense isn't bad. So he struggled all day long. He couldn't get the ball to the playmakers. They really didn't run the ball. They ran the ball okay, but not really good enough to impact the game. And it was just a low-scoring slugfest until somebody threw the game away, and it was Davis Mills in the end.
Yeah, it's a shame that however many fantasy points Herbert had was wasted in free agency in every single person's league. But, I mean, I think Davis Mills is in the same boat as Justin Fields. The roster around him is just not adequate. I don't think he's not an elite talent, but I think he can be better than what the Texans are providing. Justin Fields, why don't they let this man throw the ball? I don't understand.
They just refuse.
Incredible.
It's like a crime, apparently, to throw the ball in Chicago.
Like it's 2022 when you threw the ball 17 times.
They don't believe in his talent. They
That's a
don't
good
believe in
week
his
for them.
talent.
That's a good week for them. He don't really throw the ball that much usually.
They don't believe in his talent. They're probably looking to get rid of him as soon as they're ready to get their guy in. He's a placeholder right now, and that's what it is. Chicago's in rebuild mode. Hopefully, Raekwon Smith can get his money because Moody talked about best player on the field. Raekwon Smith was the best player on the field in this game. I believe he had 16 tackles, and he was the one that was able to catch the bunny that Davis Mills threw his way and save the game for somebody. But terrible game. Nothing else to say about this one other than this was probably the battle between the two worst teams in the league.
Absolutely. Toilet bowl for sure. All right, let's move on to my Super Bowl prediction. Coming up with probably the biggest win of the weekend over the Kansas City Chiefs. It was ugly. I'm not saying it looked pretty, but 20-17 Colts edge out the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll start this one off just because this was my lock of the week. So I got to take my lumps where I can take them. The Chiefs just played an awful football game. Across the board. Just actually, no, the defense was pretty good until the end, but the offense was sloppy, couldn't really run the ball. They don't really have an explosive playmaker to beat that cover three. So the Colts just sat in it the whole game and they couldn't get out of it. They couldn't make any explosive plays. Mahomes just kept having to take the short stuff and they couldn't convert in the red zone. It was a terrific game plan. You can see that's where they missed Tyreek Hill the most. Just somebody on the outside who could stretch out that zone. They didn't have it in this one and it really, really hurt their offense. And then on special teams, Sky Moore muffs the punt right away. They miss an extra point. They miss a field goal. They miss a fake field goal. That's how you lose football games right there. Yeah. You cannot have that many special teams miscues and expect to win football games. They still led most of the day. Their defense handled the job for as long as they could. They forced a turnover. The defense did as hell for as long as they could, but the Chiefs just let the Colts hang in it until the Colts stole in the end. And that's exactly what Matt Ryan did. Great game from Jelani Woods. He had 2 touchdowns, 3rd-round pick from UVA. Liked him a lot coming out, and he really, really showed his value in this one. They had Pittman and Pierce back, which made their offense just look more competent than it has looked. The offensive line still doesn't look great. They can't get Jonathan Taylor going. But their defense kept them in the game long enough to be able to steal in the end, and that's all you have to say here. The Chiefs gagged this one away terribly.
Yeah, Chiefs special teams single-handedly cost them a game. They were a little sloppy. I still think they were the better team, clearly, of the two teams on the field. Indianapolis just hang around long enough, and they were more desperate in the end. So once they saw that they had a chance to go get it, they went and got it. Chiefs will go back to the drawing board, and they'll be okay. Hopefully they figure out what they want to do with their coaching. Maybe some inside problems with the enemy. Andy Reid will handle that. And they'll work that out. They'll be fine. Hopefully they can run the ball better. Hopefully they could get Sky Moore out of the doghouse, but I guess he didn't want to get out of there because he wanted to muff the first punt. So their special teams was terrible and single-handedly. If you have bad special teams, it's going to cost you the game. And their time management at the end of the halves was terrible. So like we'll talk, they kind of did. Them and Buffalo were caught sleeping behind the wheel this weekend, but it happens in the NFL. So they'll be fine. Good. No, only people that win this weekend is the 72 Dolphins. They got to pop the champagne a little early. It's not that scary right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Chiefs,
also, Paul, Matt Ryan was still pretty bad in this game. Don't let this be confused. Matt Ryan was carried to this win by
no turnovers. That's all I need. No turnovers on this team. That's all I need. 27 for 32. Not bad. No turnovers. Not bad. But no, I'm going to talk about the Colts mainly. Chiefs played sloppy. Y'all already nailed that on the head. They need to get Jonathan Taylor going. Like that has to be focal point number 1 in their offense. Because their passing game is clearly not stepping up to the table to produce points like they should. I guess I don't know what the ceiling was for our thoughts on the Colts passing offense. But it can't be the only thing carrying you. Jonathan Taylor needs to get going. And the losses on the offensive line are definitely showing for sure. All right, let's keep going. Let's go to my game. Carolina Panthers catching their first of the season. Woohoo. Over the Saints, 22-14. Still the worst quarterback play in the league.
I mean, yeah, the Panthers were pretty terrible on offense. They've probably got the worst offense 3 years running. They're going for that worst offense 3 years running.
And it's not even like we lack weapons like Chicago or anything.
Jets or Giants.
Yeah.
In a league with the Jets, Giants, and Chicago Bears, the Carolina Panthers have put out a worse offense than all three of those teams the last few years. Baker, and it's crazy because people used to believe that Baker Mayfield and Jameis Winston were going to save their franchise. Now all they do is turn the ball over excessively and play quarterback badly. Baker Mayfield gets his stat line inflated because Laviska Shenault catches a pass in the flat and takes it 60 yards to the crib. Before that, he would have been like under 50% for about 120. So that just tells you everything you need to know about that. Jameis Winston's playing hurt, so he's turned the football over. So two good defenses that go to waste because the quarterback play and offensive play is bad. Matt Rule staves off getting fired for another week. Put some pressure on the Saints. The Saints traded away a first-round pick, and they could be giving away a top 10 pick to the Philadelphia Eagles this year. And I'm going to be mad at the Saints if that happens because they weren't a tackle and receiver away from being a playoff team. So Sean Payne's left them stranded there. So they've kind of been left hanged out to die anyway. So, I mean, Jameis Winston versus Baker Mayfield, the Bus Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. At least Atlanta won. Who else won that's going to be on the bottom of this?
Chicago. Because they played
the Giants lost. That doesn't help.
Atlanta won.
Chicago
Jaguars beat the Chargers. This was a perfect week to get another stepping stone ahead into the sweepstakes for CJ Stroud and or Bryce Young. Like, what are we doing? Like, the Panthers, clearly they have to be standing up in that suite going, quarterback is the only thing that is making us a dreadful team.
No, I disagree. The O-line is still pretty bad.
Yeah. The story of this, the story of y'all is Icky, and the rest of that O-line is it's awful. It's hard to watch. It's the worst quarterback play is comboed by the worst OL play I've ever seen. I've never seen anything like it.
This is the league with the Giants and the Jets and the Bears. There's stiff competition for bad O-line play and bad quarterback play. Carolina want to run away and have the worst of both by far for 3 years running.
They can't get DJ Moore the ball. Robbie Anderson was a flash in the pan for 1 week. I like their weapons. Only thing they can do is they can hand the ball to Christian McCaffrey. That's the only good thing the Panthers do on offense. They don't really have a real plan. The Ben McAdoo offense has not been very good in the NFL for a long time, and that continues to be the case. For the Saints, like Isaiah said, they went all in to be a bad team. That's the worst case scenario. Now they'll recoup the pick for Sean Payton, so that'll help them in the end. But yeah, they're probably about to hand Philly a top 10 pick if they don't get this figured out. Jameis Winston got fractures in his back, and he's reverted back to I turn the ball over excessively because Sean Payton isn't in his ear. I think that's why we were all down on the Saints this year because Sean Payton isn't scheming that offense up. It's not very talented, and the defense is now aged another year. It's getting scary in New Orleans. It's getting scary.
They got their Super Bowl all those years ago, but it's been so long that, it is the end of that.
And over a decade, way over, almost a decade and a half.
It's getting scary.
All right, let's keep it going. Let's go to Foxborough, where I think the front runner for the MVP is Lamar Jackson beating the New England Patriots 37-26.
Yeah, there's no question who the MVP. He's the best player in football right now with what he's doing. Lamar Jackson's been absolutely amazing. He tore Bill Belichick's defense apart in the pocket, outside the pocket, scrambling, design runs. It didn't matter what they called. Lamar Jackson was better than them. And that's the story of the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar has been so unbelievably great across the board in every facet of quarterback play. He's taken another jump from a guy who's won an MVP already, and he's carrying that team right now. He's carrying that offense. The Baltimore defense isn't very good. Their run game is non-existent. He's accounted for all 12 of their touchdowns. He's 90% of their total yards. He's doing the best carry job in the NFL right now. He's been unbelievably amazing. For Baltimore play, I can't remember who Baltimore.
New England, Mac Jones.
New England, yeah, Mac Jones, high ankle sprain. He's probably going to get surgery. That's probably going to be it for him. I don't really see it. That's going into the tank. They had a decent offensive day. Doesn't really. They were all in the garbage.
Mac Jones is balling.
Yeah, Mac Jones is really good. He's their best offensive player by far. By far. Suddenly the Patriots' offensive line is bad. It's like they run the ball at a mediocre level. They still have nothing at the receiving weapons, and Joe Judge and Matt Patricia are still calling plays. So as long as that's going down, Brian Hoyer is going to step into the lineup. The Patriots can join the Steelers, and it's over.
Yeah, I mean the Patriots are becoming a scary tank team. Scary. I can't believe it's week 3 and I'm talking so much about tanking already. But Lamar Jackson clearly the MVP. It is insane. I think the addition of J.K. Dobbins getting him more snaps as we go through the season will take the load off him running the ball at least. I think he feels all the pressure in the world where I got to be the passing and rushing offense for this team, which how much you think he's going to get guaranteed? 250, 300?
It should start there. It should start at 250.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's keep going.
Wait, what's it called? I mean, yeah, it's crazy because I'm just thinking that if I picked my top 2 MVP candidates, be Lamar and Josh Allen, and they both lost to Tua in back-to-back weeks. So that's the most mind-boggling thing.
We'll get to that game.
But definitely, I can't believe unless Baltimore is banking on this Super Bowl, I can't believe they would let another quarterback come back for a contract year on them. That's bad organizational wise, which from a good organization to let it happen twice. So they better hope they might be poking the bear trying to get the Super Bowl, but they're going to be ponying up lots of guaranteed money to Lamar easily.
Yeah, Moody, talk about your lumps. We'll go to my lock of the week, which was the Raiders, and they fall to the Titans 24-22.
What did I tell y'all? I told you who was the better coach, the better team, and the better quarterback. And so they jumped out ahead easily. Tannehill threw a bad pick 6 to let them back in the game, probably for the ratings. NFL said, "Hey, but y'all gotta beat them like that. Let them back into the game." And then in the end, they still were a little short because the Raiders are always just a little short, no matter what. Like Moody said in a preview, they're in close games every week, and it just sometimes they win them, sometimes they lose them. They're usually around 500. But Tennessee was a little bit better, a little bit more hungrier, and I think they have a better coach. They have way better coaching. They have the better of the New England coaching staffs hires of all time. So yeah, Tennessee was better in every facet of the game, and the Raiders. I thought they could make the playoffs, but they dug themselves a hole, and they're gonna go play the Denver Broncos in another season-defining game coming up. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, Tennessee found Derrick Henry again. They found a way to get him going again, and it changed life for them. They even got him going in the passing game. He looked explosive. He was breaking tackles again. Huge. When Derrick Henry's playing like that, it gets the play-action game going, and it gets Ryan Tannehill into a rhythm, and the Tennessee can look like a competent offense. And that's what they showed here. That Vegas Raiders defense is bad. Lots of high picks who can't play. It's not a very, very good operation going on there in Las Vegas. And speaking of the Raiders and their offense, it's Devontae Adams or Darren Waller. I don't know what happened to him. Apparently, Darren Waller can't play no more. Josh Jacobs, nobody was really too high on him anyway, but he's a non-factor in their offense. The offensive line is almost Panthers-esque in terms of their inability to be competent. It's really, really bad. I was low on the Raiders.
Cody Miller and 4 other guys.
Yeah. They cut their first round pick lineman from 2021. That's how bad this. It's not a good operation in Vegas right now. Josh McDaniels continues to flounder as a head coach. I was low on the Raiders anyway, so looks like the under on that 8.5. They got a long road. They have a long road. Luckily, their division is also struggling.
They paid 3 weapons this offseason: Adams, Renfro, and Waller. So all 3 have been left a lot to be desired. They're looking like some Kenny Galladay level signings. But we'll get to him.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
That's a really hard. That's a big bust right there.
Yeah. So I was going to talk about the return of Derrick Henry, but also the return of Robert Woods. He also they gave him most targets in the passing game, I believe.
He's the only guy.
I mean, he averaged 20 yards a catch. So it was good to see him get back in the thick of it and settle down those rookies a little bit. Let the vet eat a little bit. All right, Isaiah, we'll go down to the 305. Miami beats the Bills 21-19. I was the only one to get this right in the preview. Under, baby. Under. Got it perfect. Under.
Well, Tua was hobbling off the field like he was blind, deaf, and dumb. So when that happens, that could easily turn into a poor situation for offenses. But we all picked Miami here, I think, because of the Buffalo injuries and stuff like that. And Miami proved to be, with all those Buffalo injuries, still not the better football team. They won the game, but they're not the better football team. The Bills had 500 yards of offense. They walked up and down the field, did whatever they wanted, but they struggled in the red zone. They struggled in the situational moments, and that'll happen to an offense. Sometimes it just isn't your day. Miami had a decent game plan. Their pass rush was fantastic. Usually the Bills are able to hold up and pass protection for Josh Allen. That wasn't the case on Sunday here. They couldn't run the ball at all. They forced Josh Allen to throw the ball 63 times. That's not a recipe for success in the NFL. You can't sustain that kind of level of offense of just no run game whatsoever, especially against another good team. And that's what happened to Buffalo here. They had several chances to steal the game in the end. They got the butt punt. They had the missed field goal down the stretch, 4th and goal. Josh Allen skips the ball in. Buffalo should have won the game by 2 or 3 touchdowns, especially when Tua got hurt. But they just, like the Chiefs, bungled around all day and allowed the other team to hang in there and get the W. Great for Tua. We'll see how this concussion review comes to light, because he
back injury.
Back or his hip.
He'll be fine. Like
we'll see.
There's no such thing.
I don't like seeing my quarterbacks walking around like that. That's all I'm saying. I prefer my quarterbacks not to be bumbling and stumbling against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. Another week where a powerhouse team can't go undefeated because got to have some parity. So, they served up some Buffalo Bills a lot. Unfortunately, we'll get to the Chargers, but Buffalo Bills suffering. You don't want to see 11 starters out in week 3, especially when a few of them are all pro players. That sucks. But they're getting some guys back. Their offense is luckily still healthy. Knock on wood. Josh Allen is still healthy. They're relying on him way too much. No one should be throwing the ball almost 70 times in that torturing Miami Heat. But they, like Moody said, they dominated this game in every single stat except for at the end of games, end of half situations. They were terrible at both end of halves, leaving lots of points on the board after good drives. Good drives that just ended so terribly. And that Heat was getting to them. The Heat was the real winner out there. Nobody was beating that Miami Heat because they looked like they was getting played. And even crazier, two schematic notes. Buffalo looked like they had a game plan for Tyreek Hill, and Miami looked like they like to use that blitzing game plan, that all-out blitz game plan like they use against Lamar. They brought it here for Josh Allen. I'm interested to see if they'll bring it this week, Thursday night, against Joe Burrow, because that's how they seem they want to combat these really explosive quarterbacks. They're just going to go get them, and they got the pass rush to do it, and because they have fast linebackers and safeties, and they have good cover guys in the back end to do it. So they should be getting back Byron Jones, and Miami's going to make a little run here, but I'm sure Buffalo will be waiting to get them at home in the wintertime to give them some revenge for that. I'm interested to see that revenge game.
I'm just going to start betting Chase Edmonds to score a touchdown every week, because he's get every single touchdown, but don't get the yardage. Like, here you go. It's unreal. But yeah, this was an exciting game. Josh Allen throwing the ball 63 times.
Listen to that number.
It's way too high.
Meanwhile, you have the Bears throwing 17. It's unreal. Unreal. But I think he didn't do well rushing this week, Josh Allen, which I think kind of affected him. I think the Heat really affected Buffalo, because you could see I think Stephon Diggs was cramping, and he was out on plays trying to get his cramps right. Their offensive linemen keeled over. They were really not ready for that Heat. All right, let's keep it moving. We'll go to the shellacking in our nation's capital. Eagles top the Commanders 24-8.
Yeah, the score wasn't even that close. It wasn't even that close. The Philadelphia Eagles drag their balls all over the Washington Football Commanders. That's what they did to them. This was a complete mismatch on both sides of the ball. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith just kept mossing their corners every time. It was tight contested coverage. I'm taking the ball off your head. There's nothing you can do about it. Jalen Hurts made a couple plays with his legs, especially in the red zone, and they scored enough points to take care of business. And on the other side, Washington's offensive line, another Panther-esque level performance.
I'm done with these ricochet shots. Enough.
9 sacks given up by the Washington Commanders. Now, we know Carson Wentz likes to hold the ball and take sacks, so I'm sure there's some accountability there. But they got dominated. They didn't do anything until the absolute end garbage time of the game. I was watching the red zone. They didn't appear on red zone. The Washington offense didn't appear on red zone one time. Never saw it.
The safety was it, bro.
That was it. They couldn't do anything. And that's basically what we saw here. Philadelphia they beat the hell out of them, man. They look like by far the better football team. This wasn't close.
Yeah, the score looks closer than the game actually was. Philadelphia took their foot off the pedal halfway through the game, and they just said we're just gonna keep blitzkrieging this offensive line all day and we're gonna affect the pass game. And Washington's that's not gonna do anything. So Philadelphia's defensive line looks strong as ever, and Washington's offensive line looks weak as ever. It's probably the weakest one in the NFC East, which is saying something because there's another bad offensive line in the NFC East, but man, they struggled against Detroit's pass rush, and Detroit's not no world beaters. And then they faced a good pass rush, and it was like a no contest. So that's probably going to determine how many games they win this year, because they'll have games where they
come in next week.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to become a Jalen Hurts true believer.
He looks good.
I love watching him play, man.
The team's too good to fail, honestly.
The team is loaded. The team's too good to fail. The most loaded team in the league. Defense, offense, everything. Trenches, everything. Weapons, yes. Cornerbacks, yes. The team is just ridiculously loaded, and he's taking advantage of it. And the scheming is underrated. Good job for Nick Sirianni, who had a Ben McAdoo for the first level type press conference, and people were already down on him. But he's running a good offense, and he's already put in more work as a head coach than his predecessor that he learned from, Mr. Frank Wright. But we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely. All right, let's continue. Let's go up north. Minnesota beating the cover gods who still cover. That's my fault for jumping off the wagon. That's on me. I'll wear that. I will never jump ship again. I'm sorry. Vikings do still win 28-24.
Yeah, I never thought that Minnesota wasn't going to get out of there but then it got really bad where it's like, oh, Minnesota's not going to get out of here. It's just not their day. And that's right when you said that. They flipped the script. They finally took advantage of all that coverage that Justin Jefferson has been absorbing. Don't like to see Justin Jefferson only getting 2 catches for 14 yards, but I guess he's getting covered in that Cooper Kupp role. But, KJ Osborne comes up big. Kirk Cousins comes up big. All I got to know is that Kirk Cousins would have been able to pull that off if this game was at nighttime. If this was a nighttime game, Detroit would have definitely won. But it was 1 o'clock, so Kirk Cousins put some 1 o'clock Kirk Cousins magic on this. And Detroit's defense is pretty bad. Detroit's defense is bad and will cost them games. But big ups, their offense is explosive. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamal Williams in place of DeAndre Swift, who's going to be out for the next 3 weeks apparently until after the bye. So we'll see how good Williams holds that up. But they got to get that defense going. And as for Minnesota, they got to find a way to get Justin Jefferson going again.
Yeah, Detroit looked like they should have won this football game. They seemed to have answers. They got the big lead early. They were just stiff-arming them. But eventually, a defense like that, it's going to cave. And if you don't have a defense that can hold up, especially in the fourth quarters of games, you're going to lose a lot of close battles. And unfortunately for Detroit's offense, DeAndre Swift went out with the shoulder injury. Amon-Ra St. Brown was dealing with the ankle problem. When you lose multiple starters like that or multiple weapons like that in your offense, it'll slow you down. And that's what happened to them. It allowed Minnesota to hang into the game and get some stops because their defense really isn't any good, and they stole it in the end. It was a good win for Minnesota, a trip up that they needed to avoid if they want to try to take the NFC North. Solid win for them against a decent football team in Detroit. But, yeah, Detroit's defense is they're another piece or two or defense away from being a legit playoff team. Oh, and the quarterback as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give my spotlight of my time here to Jeff Okudah. I think he's had a great season so far. He's gone up against Devontae. He's gone up against Scary Terry. And he's gone up against Justin Jefferson. And they've all underperformed. All the wide receivers have underperformed. So I think from that point, he's doing great. All right, boys, let's keep it moving. Bengals handling their business in the Meadowlands, 27-12.
Easy. Bengals get right versus Jets. Don't look like they're world beaters yet. Offensive line still a little leaky. But if you have Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins all going off at the same time, you're going to win games because those are some hard weapons to stop. And the Jets, hopefully they get back Zach Wilson and they could put some wins together because Robert Saleh's got his receipts are getting longer and longer. He's starting to get to CVS receipt level territory here. But, yeah, Bengals get right versus the Jets.
Yeah, good team beats bad team here. That's pretty much all this was. Bengals did look overly impressive, but they're just way better than the Jets. Sauce Gardner actually had a pretty good fight against Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase only averaged like 5 yards a catch. He did get in the end zone on a coverage bust. But other than that, Sauce Gardner was really, really good. The Jets defense can hold their own and can stay in it. But unfortunately, against a power offense like the Bengals, you're going to need to score some points. And this wasn't the Browns game. Joe Flacco wasn't able to get the job done here. Zach Wilson coming back maybe increases their ceiling, but also they can lower their floor at the same time. So we'll see how it goes for the Jets there. They're a long ways away, but Bengals avoid the 0-3 hole.
Yeah, I like as a Jamar Chase fantasy owner, I did not enjoy on Sunday, but I like seeing them get other wide receivers involved. Tyler Boyd had a huge game. I like them not just the Jamar Chase show. You need more than that to get back to a Super Bowl. And the Jets are the Jets. So, all right, boys, let's keep it going. I believe we're on the 4 o'clock slate now. Let's go to probably the top 2 upset of the week. Chargers going in and shellacking Justin Herbert and the Chargers 38-10.
This was my lock of the week gone wrong this week. I guarantee the LAC win no matter if Herbert was playing or not. Yeah, we told the Chargers they had one job. Keep the 7 star players they have upright and get them through the season. J.C. Jackson came in hurt.
They're all hurt. They're all hurt.
So, yeah, if Herbert's hurt, Slater's done for the year. Bosa's hurt, nicked up. Keenan Allen's hurt. J.C. Jackson's battling. And just 5 all-pro caliber players.
Lindsley.
And then the coaching's still suspect as fuck. So, hopefully Sean Payne can come save this team this offseason. This is where I believe Sean Payne wants to be coaching next year. Eric said it's too early to be talking about tanking, but LAC might be the last trial run for Brandon Staley because now his 4th down decision making is haywire, and the team's hurt. So just take advantage of it. Hopefully tank it out. Get one of those receivers from Ohio State to get another piece over there so you can move on from Keenan Allen.
There's only one.
Huh?
There's only one that's draft eligible.
There's only one of them? With 4 guys that are looking like they're NFL talent, I hope that another
Marvin Harrison's a sophomore.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with all these guys, but they all try to get your hand to get you an Alabama or OSU receiver.
No, don't get Alabama. They're trash this year, but continue.
But yeah, Chargers. It looks like it's going to be another wasted years of great potential for the Charger, which is what they've been doing my whole life.
Yeah, I'm mad. I jumped off. I rolled the fence. I had a lot of faith in Jacksonville in this one, but I decided to lean in on Justin Herbert's health. He clearly isn't healthy. And then the rest of like Isaiah said, everybody else went down. They're all hurt. Corey Lindsley, Rashawn Slater, all of them. They're all hurt. They're all down. That's no longer a good football team because all of their players aren't playing. So you hate to see that, but we got to talk about the story, which is Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence looks like Justin Herbert in a good situation. He performed at an excellent high level. The scheme is really, really good. They got Christian Kirk is showing his worth by staying involved in the offense. Zay Jones, really, really big performance. And then they did what you do to the Chargers. You run all over them. James Robinson ran it down their throat, 6 yards to carry. Travis Etienne was a good compliment, and they just pulled away from him in the end. The game was actually kind of close until late in the third, and then Jacksonville just poured it on. reported on. Jacksonville also has an enticing young pass rush with Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, Devin Lloyd being dynamic in coverage as well. They look decent. They got something going there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, for the record, I said Devin Lloyd was going to be the best. What did I put him at? Linebacker, off-ball linebacker, something like that.
That's what he is, off-ball line. I'm pretty sure we all had him as. I wanted him over Thibodeau. We'll get to Thibodeau later, but Devin Lloyd would be a change for the New York Giants defense that Thibodeau hasn't brought since he's been hurt, and he didn't do anything this game. But we'll put that off till later. But yeah, Devin Lloyd has been a menace. 2 interceptions in back-to-back weeks.
But I think the story of this game is Travis Etienne is running back number 2 for the foreseeable future. James Robinson looked great on Sunday. He looked fantastic. Like Moody said, average like 6 yards a carry. And Trevor Lawrence looked really fucking good. Trevor Lawrence, he was very efficient, 28 for 39, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, which is the big part. Good on Jacksonville. Round of applause for Jacksonville. Good job. AFC South showed up today against the AFC West. It was beautiful.
Who would have thought it?
All right, boys, let's keep it moving. Let's go to the rainiest place in the country, Seattle, where the Falcons edged out Geno Smith. We wrote back 27-23.
Yeah, in a classic battle for the number 1 overall pick, the Seahawks won. And that's the best way to describe this football game. 2 irrelevant football teams that aren't going anywhere, duking it out. Very boring. Nobody really wanted to watch this, but we're going to talk about it. For Seattle, they finally found some answers with their receiving core. Maybe DK Metcalf was involved in the game. AJ Terrell continues to struggle. No one wants to talk about it. 5 touchdowns given up, high-ass completion percentage, getting torched by these receivers. But, hey, no one. I guess he's not a Cowboy, so it doesn't matter. But
he's got no pass rusher for him. He's got no – go cover these guys all day.
All day. Yeah, the Falcons defense is still pretty bad, so Geno Smith was able to find some rhythm on offense. They were able to get their receivers involved, but overall, they're just not explosive enough. They don't really have anything in the backfield until they get Kenneth Walker back going. Maybe he can add some explosiveness. Their offensive line picks don't look too bad, though. Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas from Washington State, they both look pretty good. So they've got a couple of pieces there, but they're very limited with Geno Smith as the starter. For Atlanta, they have a little more upside because Marcus Mariota is a little bit better, and Kyle Pitts is a better weapon of like DK Metcalf, and Drake London continues to look really good. Cordell Patterson had a big workload in this one, went over 100 yards. They got good offensive pieces over there. It's a shame it's being wasted by Marcus Mariota and a mediocre offensive line, but they've got good pieces and a good coaching staff. If they found a quarterback, Atlanta could be a problem in a year or two possibly. But overall, not much to really write about here. It was a close game, back and forth. Atlanta looked like the better football team throughout. They took care of it in the end. We move on.
I disagree, Moody. Atlanta's going places. They're gonna get
I hope
back.
they do.
They're gonna get back Calvin Ridley next year. Don't forget he isn't playing this year.
I said next year.
Yeah, so they're gonna get back Calvin Ridley. They got 2 weapons in Pitts and Drake who are matchup nightmares. They're just missing a quarterback. And their offensive scheme is one of the best. They have some of the best offensive coaching in the league. And somehow Cordell Patterson was wasting away in Minnesota. He done wasted a whole career, what could have been a Hall of Fame career in Minnesota. He's already got the kick return touchdown record. The way he's been playing these last 2 seasons have shown that this man is a beast. I'm sorry that he was stuck with Mike Zimmer being wasted. And then he went to Chicago. So, yeah.
That's where skill positions go to die.
So, yeah, great game for Cordell. Pitts and Drake look like an amazing combo. And AJ Terrell, I'm sorry, you're the best player on one of the worst defenses we've seen in a while. It's gonna be a long season. There's not a single other good player in that Atlanta defense.
Yeah, my thought about the offensive line, like Moody brought up, was Russell Wilson the one causing all those sacks, running around? Because they don't look half bad, bro.
They went and got 2 new tackles.
Oh, they waited until he left the building.
Well, they used the assist they
it's
got
like Matthew Stafford. Oh, shit, y'all built the team up without leave, huh? That's how it's going to be? Yeah, that's how it is.
All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to what should have been 5 years ago, the best game of the year. Now somehow a final of 14-12, Green Bay over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Apparently, the two greatest quarterbacks of this generation were playing the football game, and they both got dominated by the defenses. Aaron Rodgers actually looks pretty effective going against a harder. I think Tampa Bay has the better defense, so he had a harder challenge. Tom Brady was in cruise control with the Bucs because I think they're going to be in cruise control all year. All I know is if this game was in the playoffs, it definitely ends the other way around with Tom Brady getting up out of there. This was a classic regular season Tom Brady loss to a good team. I bet you if this put this on the playoffs, put NFL playoffs in front of this, and it goes the exact opposite way, and Tom Brady's getting out of there. That's all I know about this. As for the Packers, Aaron Rodgers finally let one of those rookie receivers out the doghouse. Good to see Romeo Doubs getting some touches in his first career touchdown. Hopefully he can get Christian Watson back involved. I know he dropped the pass and Aaron got him in the doghouse, but that's the best. He's the best. Christian Watson's the best receiver they have on their roster.
He was hurt this week, so we're not going to hurt him too much.
When he was hurt this week, but when he gets back, Aaron, let him back on the team. Because now Sammy Watkins is hurt. Because like Julio Jones, we knew Sammy Watkins was going to get hurt. Because Julio Jones and Sammy Watkins get hurt. That's what they do. And Tom Brady was throwing a dart in, and Cole Beasley and Russell Gage. And that's not no crazy set of weapons, but this was a defensive fight and just boring. But Aaron Rodgers edges out. But let me know. I know for sure if this was a playoffs game, Tom Brady would have won. So that's all I know about it. This game didn't matter.
Yeah, it's small bump in the road for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Maybe it hurts them for some home field advantage later in the season, which doesn't matter for Tom Brady anyway. But these are two incomplete football teams not being able to get the job done on the offensive end. The Bucks defense continues to be by far the best in the NFL. They shut down 3 straight offenses. They've given up like 2 touchdowns all year. They've been absolutely fantastic. Tom Brady doesn't have any weapons right now. Chris Godwin's out. Julio's doing his usual week 1 and done, and Mike Evans was suspended. So might be hearing a Gronk call soon, maybe a Gronk phone call, because he needs help out there, man. The offensive line ain't good either. After a really good week 1, Leonard Fournette's been shut down pretty badly in the last couple weeks as well. Just the defenses were too good to go against offenses that have nothing at the receiver position to really threaten. For Aaron Rodgers, like Isaiah said, he showed enough answers early to get them the lead, and the defense held on in the end. Romeo Doubs got involved. The running back struggled because that's a really, really good defense they're going up against, but he did a good enough job. The offensive line looked good. David Bakhtiari was back in the lineup. Got to give a round of applause. He fought his way through that ACL issue, and he's back on the field. Good for him. That's great to see. But other than that, just great win for Green Bay. It's going to help him in the end. But, yeah, just we want a better matchup later on.
Side note, congratulations to the New York Yankees solidifying they just won, so they solidified their playoff spot. Anyway, yeah, this was absolutely brutal to watch. This game was barely on Red Zone on the 4:00 slate, which is pretty hard to do, honestly. So yeah, snooze fest. I mean, where did Doubs go to college? Do y'all know?
Small school.
That doesn't narrow it down.
I don't remember. We had to look it up, but keep going, Eric.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him. Like, Aaron Rodgers is eventually going to have to get – he's starting to figure out, oh, shit, I have to trust at least one of these guys that's not named Randall Cobb.
Nevada,
okay. But he looked explosive, but yeah, let's keep it moving. That game was – I was very excited for that game. I knew the weapons were out, but – damn.
You should have known from there, right? Oh, good defenses versus beat up offenses. Screams bad football game.
All right, boys. This is the game coming up where I put my 2-1 record of actual betting on Sunday and put it all in on the LA Rams beating the Cardinals 20-12.
They own them. It's the same mismatch as it's been forever, and that continues to be the case here. Matthew Stafford picked that terrible defense apart. They were able to move the ball. Cooper Kupp continues to be a dominant stat monster. and they just took care of business. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray isn't running anymore, apparently. He only had 2 carries. He's got less rushing yards this season than Matthew Stafford. That's unacceptable. That's going to completely ruin your offense, especially an offense that's missing DeAndre Hopkins. Marquise Brown had a solid game, but other than that, guys like it's Greg Dortch and Zach Ertz. Trey McBride doesn't even get involved. James Conner is hurt. They have nothing at the running back position, the offensive line. The Cardinals aren't a good football team. Like, let's just be honest about it. They have a high-paid quarterback. They have a number 1 receiver who's suspended right now, and it's fill in the blank. And it's really just Cliff Kingsbury isn't a talented enough coach, I think, to help them overcome this. Their defense isn't anything special either. They got dominated by a better football team, just across the board.
Simple as that. Good team beats bad team. That's all I got to say about it. Good team that always beats bad team continues to beat bad team.
Activision, I'm talking to you. Raven, I'm talking to you. The developers of Call of Duty are setting this man up to fail. You giving this man a double XP on a weekend? This boy's got a game to play. Are you joking? This guy's got the defending Super Bowl chance, and you go put double XP on the line. You know what that man gonna do. And he was at home. It was a home game, so he's at the crib all night. Anyway, dominant performance by the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford only throwing the ball 25 times. That elbow is kind of scaring me. From a baseball background myself.
They finally ran the ball effectively. Now, it might have been because the Cardinals' defense is just that bad, but they had some balance.
But Cam Akers, somehow he still blows my mind on how he came back last year. But now he's starting to really be able to carry a load.
Yeah, the second year after, which is when he should have waited to come back. Not everybody can be James Robinson, but it is what it is. He looked good to see him looking better.
You think he was going to pass up playoff starts on a Super Bowl run? He had to be there, or he would have never got to been known in history.
He would have gotten the ring, but would it have been a ring? You know?
Yeah, he could just go average 1.8 yards in the Super Bowl. That's fantastic.
Sure.
But when you watch that game, he's in it. He's in the game getting carries. His name's being called.
ESPN Classic. You know, you're there forever. All right, let's move it on to the biggest, I'll say biggest snooze fest of the weekend. 49ers at Broncos with a stellar baseball score that would have hit the over in baseball, 11-10.
This might have been the worst football game I've ever seen. This was
so
this was awful. I'm sorry for I watched every minute of this. As someone who's currently out in San Francisco right now, the vibe around this game was pure nastiness, disgusting. We'll start with the Broncos. I don't know what kind of shit Nathaniel Hackett's running over there. I just don't know. Like, the offense looks, it's indescribable. It's not good. It's just not good.
Let's punt. Let's punt.
Let's punt. Javonte Williams is one of the best tackle breakers in the league. He can't get the football in the run game or the passing game. Melvin Gordon's out here splitting touches with him, who they brought back for $2 million. Jerry Jeudy is already playing through injuries. He can't create separation against anybody. He's dropping the ball. He doesn't have chemistry with Russell Wilson. Courtland Sutton had a good game, but he's still having big-time drops in this one. He was still struggling. Charvarius Ward's a good corner, but he shouldn't be somebody who's locking up Courtland Sutton. The Broncos there. Penalty issues, operation issues, all across the board. This is some of the worst offensive coaching I've ever seen in my entire life. It is that bad. This was terrible from the Broncos on offense. And then we had to move on to Jimmy G, who just the biggest anchor for a good offense, a good team you'll ever see, just single-handedly holding them back at every turn. Wait.
But I thought they were a better team with Jimmy G. That's what everybody was saying. That Jimmy G
Dan Orlovsky. Dan Orlovsky.
I was trying to build to it, Eric. I was trying to build to it, but yes, we saw the return. We saw the Mark Sanchez and the Dan Orlovsky in the same weekend. That's how bad the football was this week. I thought week 3 was supposed to get us out of the preseason football, but we're still clearly in it. Jimmy Garoppolo was inaccurate and spotty all night. They ran the ball decently, but it didn't matter because they don't have any explosiveness in the backfield. They can't get it done in the red zone. Both teams just punt the ball all day. Jimmy had a couple of bad turnovers, and the Broncos win, but nobody won here today.
Wasn't it a pick six too? Like, wouldn't have been a pick six?
Yes, exactly. It would have been a pick six if he didn't step out of it. Galaxy brain thinking. Galaxy brain. That's why you trust the vet. That's why you trust the vet, Isaiah. So he takes the 2 instead of the 6.
I guess all I kept hearing was Jimmy G was here to save the 49ers. And then he showed up and played a full game. And it was like, oh, yeah. That's why we're replacing this guy. That's why I got to say. Jimmy G's back, which means the 49ers are back to playing like they've been playing the last few years. Defense will carry them. Great defense. Fred Warner was all over the place. Bosa was all over the place. Top 3 defense right now, the way they're playing. But, man, Jimmy G he brought erratic Jimmy G to the show. And erratic Jimmy G it's hard to watch. Just watch the end of Super Bowl 54 and you'll know about erratic Jimmy G. And they got George Kittle back, so hopefully they'll work him back in and they'll get the offense going again. Another bust of a year for breakout superstar ×2 for Eric, Mr. Brandon Ayuk. We're still waiting for him to actually be amazing.
He scored a touchdown, which was like pulling teeth in this football game.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. He's doing great. Look at the offense he's in. Yeah. He had
Denver's
a monsoon in week 1.
Denver's defense saves the day because they were going against erratic Jimmy G, who is worse than Russell Wilson on his worst day, clearly. And that's all I got to say about this terrible game.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say other than Dan Orlovsky himself. I thought I would never see that. All right, boys, I'm going to let y'all take this away. Dallas winning over the New York Football Giants 23-16. It was supposed to be a blowout, though, Isaiah. Actually, no. Winners go first. Moody, take it away.
Okay, no problem. I'll take it here. I was warning Isaiah all week about what was coming. We own these guys. We're now 15-4 since 2013. We completely, totally, like Aaron Rodgers does the Bears, we own the Giants. Now let's get into the actual football case of it. This was a case here simply the offense doing a good enough job and the defense raising complete and absolute hell. Cooper Rush, an efficient offensive game. He got the ball to the open spots. I thought Kellen Moore did a great job scheming guys open. CeeDee Lamb, after the early drop, completely took over the game in the second half, and they dominated with the run game. They leaned into it with Zeke, with Tony Pollard. They blew those guys off the ball. They got Tyler Smith in space. He was running over DBs, and the run game did the heavy lifting. And then the offense just did the job when the time was needed to do the job. And then defensively, Michael Parsons was dealing with the illness, looking a little less than 100%. So he was just a glorified decoy all night for the show that DeMarcus Lawrence had to put on for the rookie. He had to learn a hard lesson about blocking in the NFL in 2022. It's tough out here. You got to have your hands right. Got to have your kick step right, because if you don't, you get your ass kicked by the veterans. And that's what DeMarcus Lawrence did to the rookie. He gave him a clinic, 3 sacks in the first half and some change. A dominant performance. I saw different websites have it differently. PFF had it at 35 pressures. ESPN had it at 24 pressures. It didn't matter. Daniel Jones was just getting absolutely ran over. I thought Daniel Jones didn't play a bad football game, but with the offensive line, he had no shot. For the Giants, the 2-0 start, like I said, that was the worst 2-0 team in the league. They were irrelevant as a 2-0 football team.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good story for Brian Daboll. He's a good coach. The Giants might be headed in the right direction. Saquon Barkley looks explosive again, but they're still a bad football team. The Cowboys are missing multiple starters, and they clearly look like the better roster from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I got 3 points easily. One, they said it in the broadcast, the Giants have done nothing but pour resources into the offensive line for 10 years. 8 first-round draft picks, and Andrew Thomas is the only one that's looked like, oh, he could actually be a starter. He could play. This guy's actually good. So at that rate, especially when the Eagles and Cowboys constantly draft all pro caliber offensive linemen, you're going to fall behind. So it doesn't matter. Their quarterbacks are always protected, and whoever's playing quarterback for us is usually running for his life. thought Daniel Jones played a top 3 game of his career, but it didn't matter because the Giants receiver have spent the most money on their receivers, and they have a $72 million man that's sitting on the bench practically. And then when they throw the ball to him, they try to get him to make some plays. A terrible pass interference. I thought it was pass interference by Sterling Shepard. He looked like he blatantly ran into that DB.
All right.
And then Kenny Golladay drops the pass, and then it's over because once those boomers come out of New York, they're just gonna boo you just for existing. So his career in New York is probably over. They eat you alive there. And then third. Kayvon Thibodeau made one play all night. This top 5 player, next generational pass rusher I've been watching him all preseason in this game, has yet to make a single explosive play. So I'm still waiting on that. I'm pretty sure we should have taken Devin Lloyd. He would have changed the defense. And then Evan Neal, he's a rookie tackle. So
he's going to get cooked eventually.
The veteran.
It was a tough lesson.
He's just the 5th rookie tackle that DeMarcus Lawrence has beat up on the Giants. He's just joining the list of all those bad guys that haven't made him a pan out. Hopefully he'll learn from it. But yeah, they tease you. The Giants teased when the Saquon Barkley drive, but then Cowboys come right out. Mr. Peters refuses to just go away. Get out of my life. He keeps coming back for years on the Eagles. We played him when he was on the Bears. Now he's on the Cowboys. Go away, Peters. We get it. You're an all-pro Hall of Fame player. Go away. Go away. Go away. You've mauled the Giants enough. You spent the last 15 years mauling Giants defensive linemen. So go away. And then the Giants missed Leonard Williams because the Cowboys ran on us all day. On our aggressive defense, they took advantage of our aggressive defense. The Giants probably aren't that good.
2-1.
They could have. If they had won this game, I would have been all aboard on a hype train about where this was gonna go. But don't gotta worry about that no more. You know the classic meme: we suck again.
I low key wish the Giants won because I would have loved to clip the hype train that you would have jumped on. But a couple of things I took away two things for the Cowboys at least. One, Tony Pollard is by far the best running back in that backfield.
Why we gotta have controversy? It's thunder and lightning.
2, CeeDee Lamb has a drop problem.
What does it matter? Did you see him? I saw him catch a ball with one hand when it mattered the most. So who cares about the drop problem?
He wasn't dropping that. But yes, the drop problem is an issue.
This is right here. I don't like that he's smiling after it. Bro, I want you to be pissed, bro. You just dropped a touchdown.
He was
smiling right after because he's like, they're going to keep throwing me passes, and I'm going to make plays anyway. So.
I got more plays coming. PFF darling Adoree Jackson was getting toasted out there.
He got beat twice. That's it. Adoree Jackson played his ass off, but unfortunately he got caught on the end of 2 bad receptions.
And Kenny Golladay might be the worst contract in NFL history.
Nothing's ever topping Albert Haynesworth.
It's bottom 5 though. It's bottom 5.
It's so bad, bro.
He got a lot of bread.
He got paid $250,000 yesterday for 3 targets, 0 catches.
It's not good.
Unreal. But Saquon looks great.
Who was a Pro Bowl. This is a player that recently was a Pro Bowl player who led the league in touchdowns one time. Just came to New York and
get it to get the bag
face of the earth. It's a bust. That's the risk of free agency, unfortunately. But
Matthew Stafford said, "I'm leaving too. I'll get you your bag, and then you don't got to worry about it no more." But that's all the games, guys. Do we have any?
That's a wrap.
Yeah. Do we have any house
MVP other than Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson? I mean, those guys are going to be carrying their teams heavily for the rest of the season. So I think Patrick Mahomes, maybe he gets back into things.
I'll put Jalen Hurts a good
Jalen
3.
Hurts. Yeah.
I'll throw in a dark horse, Mr. Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Excellent start to the season. And what we thought of Jacksonville to what they might end up being, he could steal some votes. So I'll put Trevor Lawrence in there as like a little bit of a dark horse guy.
I thought you were going to go Tua.
Nah, I can't go Tua. But Tua's having a really good season though too.
And then hot seat, Frank Wright.
Matt
Rule, get wins.
All you gotta do is get a win, and you get. He saved his job for 2 more weeks,
which means Bill Belichick is still on that list.
Get 3 wins this season and get out.
Bill Belichick's still on that list. That seat's getting hotter and hotter. And with this Mac Jones injury, if they lose 4 or 5 games in a row and the season's over by November.
Now, is it crazy to have a first-year head coach on the hot seat?
Oh, Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels and Nathaniel Hackett. They are not running tight ships out there. It looks obvious. So those guys got to get it together.
Which is crazy because then I'd have Brandon Staley. So the division that has all these great players has 3 of the worst coaches in it. Sounds about right. Got to keep the team back somehow. Like, oh, those are loaded rosters. Like, terrible coaching. So they won't do nothing with it. But, yeah, there's terrible coaching going on in the AFC West. Matt Rule and Frank Reich, they skate off this week. Nobody will be looking for their jobs this week. And Bill Belichick,
his seat is forever in the freezer. I think.
I think he has that. He'll fire himself.
Yeah,
I think he'll fire himself before Kraft would fire.
I think you guys are underestimating.
I think he'll leave before he bottoms out and tanks like his all-time record and things like that. I think he'll be out.
Underestimating that Boston fans are just like New York and Philly fans, and these guys have been spoiled for 20 years.
That's why he'll just dip out. He just won't dip out.
People that they've been spoiled from. Like what?
They got spoiled from winning 10 plus games for like 20 consecutive years, 19 out of 21 years. That will spoil you. They have expectations that if they don't reach, if the season's over by November, Robert Kraft that's gonna be the most interesting thing to see.
I mean, are we expecting them to win football games with Brian Hoyer in that offense, in the Matt Patricia offense? Nah,
that's Matt Patricia, an offensive coordinator. I thought he was a defensive guy.
Bill Belichick, he's got issues right now, like pride issues. I don't know what it is, but apparently he don't want to offer no help to no offensive players. Period.
Well, here's the problem. He gave the defensive jobs to his kids, so they needed offensive guys. So Josh McDaniels was a defensive guy before he was an offensive guy. So they do this a lot, but when they were doing that when they were winning with Tom Brady, it was one.
Tom Brady, yeah.
Doing it now when they haven't won in a long time and they don't got Tom Brady, I'm telling you, I'm interested to see how new things go in New England because they're going to play the Packers this weekend, and I don't expect Brian Hoyer to beat Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, I think that's it. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, interact, share. $5, like the $5 football. I shouldn't have brought that up.
I got 5 on it. Come on.
All right, I'll catch y'all later.
All right.